Mayur has over 7 years of work experience in building financial models and preparing a pitch book. He holds an MBA degree from Pune University and has completed Applied Corporate Finance course from Stern School of Business, New York University. He has worked for Hanam and Partners, London-based investment bank focused on mining industry for 2 years, where he was responsible for building investor pitch decks and financial models for companies in the mining industry. He was also involved in the capital raising for gold mines. Before that, he was working with Globeflex Capital, Santiago-based hedge fund, as a research analyst, where he was responsible for building financial models for the consumer discretionary sector. Over to you, Mr. Mayur.
Hey. Hi, good morning, valuers. I hope you had a great time and a great start with 2022. Okay, so today I will be covering the session on how do you forecast revenue drivers. So what do you mean by revenue driver? Can anyone explain? Let's keep it more or less interactive so that even I feel enthusiastic and things are pretty clear.
You can make the slideshow. Yeah.
Yep.
Revenue drivers, I feel, the combination of the revenue, like which particular focus or segment, what is the focus of the promoter, and in that, what is the monthly turnover or whatever, breakup monthly wise.
Yeah.
It could be revenue, it could be geographic segment, it could be product segment, it could be, different, anything. The clearer we break up, the more presentable it could be.
Right. You are absolutely correct, Shilpa. Just before we go ahead, I also have one of the team member from my team, Kailas, with me joining and helping us present and discuss the things. He also has a experience of more than around 7 years in building the valuation models, and we both started our valuation journey together, and now we are working together in Wheaton Advisors. So he will be also working with explaining few concepts of valuations to us in later part of this session. Yeah, to go with I would like to just tell that revenue driver is nothing but how your sales should drive, because as an analyst, as an a business person, a company knows their forecast, right? But how do you derive it and how do you forecast it? There should be some logical approach to it. Okay, just to give you an example, are you aware about Avenue Supermarket or DMart? I hope everyone is aware, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how will DMart increase its revenue? I just want to take this as a small concept so that we can elaborate over it over a period of time. You can be hypothetical if you don't know the actuals. That is absolutely fine.
They keep opening more and more stores.
Correct. So they are so for DMart to grow, there are two ways to grow, right? One is by opening the stores, that is expansion, and the other will be by increasing their sales and inflation with the help of inflation, or else by attracting more customers. But attracting more customers has its limit for a store. It can accommodate, let's say, thousands people in a day. This is absolutely an hypothetical example. So you just need to understand that beyond 1,000 people, the DMart cannot go up, and you need to open another store. And this is the way you should think of any business. That's what I would say. And that is nothing but how the revenue will be forecasted. So for DMart, we will use the drivers such as number of stores opened, or else number of footfalls coming in it, or else the great growth strategy which they tell us in the model in the annual report. So how will you think from a startup perspective, if you come up with a SaaS startup, how will you go over with it? Let's say it's an educational institute, okay, doing everything online. Nothing is offline. They want to teach valuation online. So what will be their revenue drivers? Can anyone try?
Number of students.
Correct. Anything else?
Number of courses.
Yeah,
Yes. Number of courses, number of students,
student.
what is the course fees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a glimpse of what we need to understand, and we will go deep dive in once we go ahead. Okay. So just to tell you, for forecasting any business, we don't have any perfect approach. It is all about a logical story which we are building for our client. So I have seen that 99% of the people are not focusing on a story, but just only on the numbers or relying on the forecast given by the promoters. But how many of us really validate it? How many of really sense check whatever they are saying is correct or wrong?
But my first question is
Mhm.
whether should we are say for example we are not an analyst and we are playing the role of registered valuer right now.
Right.
Okay, and the revenues are just a numbers without any breakup. So should we insist and say that the promoter has to have this systematic revenue model, or just any number is fine for us as a valuer?
As a valuer, I would say, see, we need to be a logical approach, right? They give numbers. Even I feel that things we are working with numbers, but how will you build a story? Because 90% of our valuation work is based on a story, and promoters, in order to raise funding, will give any type of story. Just a minute, let me give you an example of it, why it is important. Because numbers seems to be really too good to be true, but in actually it will never happen. I'm just opening one of the startup model which I built for one of the client, so that you are aware
We can
about
see
how
only your
things go.
PPT right now.
Okay, just a minute. Stop sharing. So can you see the PPT now?
No.
Yep. So can anyone just see what is the valuation right now for this company? I think it is not visible, right? So it is valued at around 53 crores. Okay, and I will tell you the revenue breakup when it was done. The company told me that it's a purely a grocery store. Okay, they just sell organic stores, and in their assumptions, they told me on first day itself they will get 2,000 customers. So is it possible to get 2,000 customers on day one of your business?
Quite tough.
Quite tough, right? So you get the sense from by building this valuation model, revenue driver, that yes, the promoter is too aggressive. So you need to ask him to reduce the valuation, this number of customers, or else volume he sells.
Sorry, it is day one or the first month itself. So if it is in first month, there would be many number of days and it may be possible. Am I right?
To be frank, any business within first month getting 2,000 customers, paying customers is really difficult. You may get it, but not. I am not, because it's a grocery store, right? And organic ones. Your already market share is very niche, so you need to think from that perspective.
Oh, okay. So it is only organic store.
Yeah, it's on the organic store.
Okay, I missed that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Then it is right.
Yeah, because organic is already 20 to 30% higher than your normal market rates.
Yeah.
So getting that customers within first month with the because when see products, whenever someone plans, right, they will plan everything from first month, and they will never ever think about their promotion, their expenses, the groundwork they do. And this will be a common practice with the startups, where you need to make them understand, okay, if you are doing anything, it will take at least 6 months for you to start with, and then only you should start. So this is what I did. So they asked me, so I just told them that, okay, you are going with so many products, right? So is your supply chain built? Then he told me, no, I know few people from where I will buy it. So I told them there will be logistical challenges, there will be other challenges. So consider a buffer time of maybe 6 months, so that all the challenges which you will overcome, you need to overcome all the challenges. So there may be n number of challenges. One, maybe your packaging system may not be ready, your branding may not be ready. There are many other operational challenges, right? So do you agree this should be a logical approach? If
Absolutely.
someone has,
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
if someone has
Yeah.
anything to counter, please do, so that it's become more fruitful.
Yeah, actually, because as a registered valuer, also when we are doing a fair valuation, we need to be fair on the judgment and the fair on the valuation assumptions as well. So these key drivers are needs to be very fair on the assumption side also.
Correct. Yes. So when I did this 200 customers, 2000 customers, my client told me, then I asked him the other question: how will you get first 2000 customers, paying customers? So he told me that I will be asking my friends and family members to buy it from me. Okay. Do you really believe that you have 2000 connects who are influential? Means whatever you say, they will do that. Is it possible?
Many a times I feel, if one of my relatives are clients, they will be the toughest and not so paymasters when compared to my other clients.
Correct. So this is the second assumption which promoters always make mistakes with. So he told me that I know this 3000 people. I checked my WhatsApp group, means phone diary, my family members. And then I told, and he told that out of that 2000 are very easy to get, and they will be paying us minimum of 2000 rupees per month. And this was my third question: how many members of your contacts are getting repeated? Because this guy considered his mother, father, brother, sister as 4 connects and added his revenue. So you need to be you need to have a logical approach and logical story before you go to the investor, because he is going to ask the promoters the same questions, and if they cannot answer it, they will put all the blame on us because we did the valuation. Has anyone experienced this, that they always point out towards valuers? It was my personal experience when we went to a investor for one of the this funding round. This told that, okay, we agree with the investor, but this is what the valuer has given, this is the valuation, so we need this valuation. So it all comes back to us. Even though we write the disclaimers, people will never use it for the purpose for which we value the company. So be careful with that and be strict with that. And hence I thought of taking this as a session that you should understand what should be added, how it should be added. Okay, so you need to get each a minute revenue breakup if you are going for a startup business plan, so that the founder is clear about what he is doing. And always check how much founder is confident on his revenues and numbers. Many a time you will find that they are not comfortable with what we say. So you can just prepare the three scenarios the way we do it in first Chicago method, right? Worst case, best case, and normal case, and you can take the average valuation. That is absolutely fine. So prepare those three scenarios and you can prepare from same model itself. Okay, by using a choose function, you can just change this number of customers or create the three scenarios. I will tell you of this session how to do that, and I will also share one example with you all guys. The next thing which I think should be discussed is, depending upon industry, how much product or how to approach. So what should be our approach on forecasting? So we will have a deep look, 2 slides after this on that. And the third and most important thing is sanity check. Whatever we project, is it with industry? Always take the reference of industry, and a relative valuation or else comparative forecasting is the most important thing in valuations. So to give you, I recently did some valuations for KKR private equity, okay, and RDN group. Mm, so I am not the direct contact, but as a sub vendor for them. And whatever valuation multiples we were using, they were asking us for relative valuation only. So if you are aware that the company has a listed peers or some private peers, go download the reports and show it to the founder that this is what they have done. What is something new you are doing before you value it? Okay, because without relative valuation, nothing is validated. If we say that, okay, Uber raised $10 million by saying they have 50 customers and 500 rupees as revenue. Hence, I am saying that I have the similar business model. I can take 10% of Uber share by getting 5 customers and creating 50 rupees as revenue, and hence my company is valued at 1 million. That is something can be justifiable. Is it clear why we should sanity check everything? Because as a valuer, when you go to the next level, we just give a sign the report, right? One time, once we have a bigger clients, these reports will be audited, and then auditor will ask n number of questions. So there, what is the forecast promoter are giving? As a auditor, you need to cross verify it. Believe, yeah, we need to always believe on the promoter's forecast, but we need to ask him how and why. If you do that, you will be good to get a great model. Okay, now coming back to the industries. So these are the few of the methods which we use. Kailas, hello. Hello, hi Kailas.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, so Kailas will also brief us. Kailas, can you just brief these industries in short so that we can go ahead with the session?
Yes,
How?
yes,
Yep.
sure. So we use different models for different industries, or sometimes they are specific to the nature of a company. So some of the examples are by market share, price, volume, adverse based. So adverts, it comes into a picture when a company is in only online format. So they have no way of marketing physically, and they bring in all of their customers by Facebook adverts or on other social platforms. Uh, in a contrasting example, there are some companies that rely more on sales force on the field. For example, pharma companies or real estate companies. So they have salespeople on the ground. So in that case, we can use the number of salespeople they are having. Similarly, a company might have different kinds of products. For example, say a Dr. Reddy's, they will have vials, uh, tablets, then injections. So we can forecast revenues by particular product. And in case of companies that have reserves, so oil and gas companies or mining companies. So in that case, we can use the asset life and the number of proven reserves that they have. And from that, we can derive their revenues. Mayur?
Yeah, so sorry. So just to summarize this, I would just like to tell you that these will be the most common matrices which we can use for forecasting. There are few more, but we have just selected few for our benefit considering the valuations we do, right? So market share is one way to do it, like how much is my market share? And on that we can value our startup or company. Price volume is the most widely used. So 90% of your valuations will be driven by price volume thing. So what do you mean by price volume? Can anyone just elaborate on this? If you any random thought will be great.
It's the sensitivity of the price to the selling volumes. So you will be able to sell more if you reduce the price or increase the price, correct? So that sensitivity is the price volume.
Yes. Any more thoughts on it? More the volume, lesser the price. Sir, it is a matrix where we say price volume here. Uh, volume is good. What you all said is perfectly correct, but we also need to understand that most of those businesses work on price volume, right? So for me, I need to understand at what price my pulses. So let's say take this example of tur dal. So I forecasted it using a price volume where I first of all considered some volume produced. Okay, how much of volume I need to sell, because that is my capacity, maximum capacity. Out of how much percent I can sell at a time, maybe 80%, maybe 20%, maybe 30%, and gradually it can increase. Okay, so for that you need to understand what is your maximum.
Are you referring to a different PPT or?
Oh, sorry, I was referring to different Excel. My mistake. Is the Excel open? Can you see the Excel now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So now the price volume thing I was going to tell. Now I was going to think from the other perspective. I am going to sell Tourdar with a 250-gram packet. Okay, is it readable now? Okay, and
Yes.
and its volume will increase gradually. So I have maximum capacity of production of 2000, again 2000 kgs. This is what we have consumed, and then slowly I will increase those volumes over a period of time. That this will be my sales capacity and where I will sell it. Okay, so this volume needs to be forecasted first, and for that we also need to understand the pricing, that at what cost is our competitors selling it and at what cost I can sell it. Okay, how did I do that? I did an entire competitor analysis. Just a minute, let me check whether it is there in this. Yeah, I went online, I checked for most of the brands. Okay, how so can you see the brand, right? Yep. Brands, and then I calculated their prices. I went actually in market for this as a assignment, checked the per kg prices for different spices and pulses and oils. Based on that, I decided what should be my pricing range and proposed the this promoter to one cost, that your cost should be in 30 to 40 rupees per kg or maybe 100 rupees per kg. So this was an market research part which I did just to get more clarity on numbers and fine tune my assumptions. So that's how I got the price. I derived the volume. I considered how much is my capacity. I considered that what will be the marketing time for any business to get known. It will require at least 3 to 6 months in that area, right? Have you ever observed that a new store opens, right? We tend to go to it once we come to know. So it is always, most of the time it will be like, it has opened 15 days ago, it has opened 3 months ago. And then after 3 months, you will get, whenever you require that product, you may go to that shop. So it takes 6 months for you to go and get your customer, right? Hello. So that's how we use price volume. So we consider price, we consider volume, we consider time frame, and accordingly we will forecast our first revenue. And this is something we use in 99% of our projection, or in manufacturing, this is the only key matrix which we will use most probably. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone has any doubt in price volume, or should we go ahead?
One question I had, I mean, like you did one step ahead and went and checked the prices, etc. And does it come into the valuer scope, or is it something that you did in addition?
It doesn't come into the value scope, but I was valuing the startup, right? So I was validating what promoter is saying, because in the end, we need to sign off all the numbers. And if someone questions us, they will question on the valuer, and then valuer will also, sorry, they will question the promoter, right? But we need to be sure. So sense checking is better, and you can charge extra for that. You don't need to go to actual on market and do everything if not required, but please just do a basic Google check. Because then it comes back to a valuer, that why didn't he just check these logical things? But when the businesses are small, no one will care. But when you go to when you value bigger companies, these all questions will get arised.
But in case of industry where there is no history, there is no, in case of startup, there is no parallel comparable things, then in that case, it will be just an, you cannot have the price volume check from the market.
But you can check the trend, right? You can get the price from the promoter, but how other startups work, you can just take similar startups or any startup which sells similar type of product. Maybe so for let's take an example of online sales. Okay. So we have lot of competitors in online. It may not be our product, but take any a random product and see how the sales goes. Or I'll just do a random quick survey of like 10-15 people from your friends circle. Will you buy this at this price, the product or the technology? And you will come to know the forecasting trend, what is the people's mindset, and then you can just sense check it. Always ask the promoter, because if you don't ask them, they are also not confident that what they are doing. Only few of them knows what really they do, because 99% of the businesses where I worked with was like, okay, we can do one thing, 10 things. Okay, I can buy insurance, I can do a banking, I can do anything, right? But what promoter, what investor needs is one person should focus only on one aspect in which he is good, and he should expand in that and not focus on anything else. So even if you guide the promoter that, okay, your business plan is perfect, but if you do this, this will help you get better valuation, many a times they are ready to accept it. Does it answer your question?
Yes, for in case of industry, which is a service industry,
Yeah.
it's a education industry where it might be possible that there are some, we usually like things are available, but in case of higher studies, how they will get the customers online, that is the thing.
So then how you do is, we don't do it. We go back to the history of education is this the service. So for example, uh, if you want this, right, it's a very niche, then go and study the case study of Byju's. How did they start? Okay. Not after listing or getting a bigger valuation. You will get somewhere some article which where the promoter will say their struggle. Okay, I will give you one example of one of the real estate developer in Pune. Since I'm from Pune, I can give you. You may not relate it, but try to visualize it. So this guy in 2000 planned to create an IT city in Pune. Okay, so what was his thing is, he was planning to buy 400 acres of land and developing an IT park in 25 acres surrounded by all the residential buildings. And for that, he needed a funding and planning, fundings and other all resources, because no one was much aware about these things, and that day with no technology. So internet and all these things came in 2004-5, and then it boomed in the recent past 5 to 7 years. So how did he approach his problems? And if you can just visualize that, how, okay, he first challenge was to get a 400-acre land in one area, then get the government uh, license for building such a big a city, smart city type, a small city itself. I'm just giving an example. Okay, so small city, and then what? These were the challenges. So how much time he overtook it? The same thing will come to any new business which we are planning, which is out of the box. The challenges might be different, but the struggle or the time almost remains the same. That's my own personal experience. So you can just take a judgment and see, sense check whether all these things are in line with the assumptions of the promoter.
Thank you.
Okay, so AdWord base, the salesperson base, these are pretty straightforward. The number of AdWords, number of clicks they do, you get more and more revenue. Salesperson, the number of salesperson you have, like you may have seen Aquaguard or people selling books on uh, street, right, on signals, on all those things. So that business can be valued using a salesperson based, because that person is standing throughout the day and how much he can do. If we expand, how much we can expand, how many signals are there, or what any logic you can use. But this will give you a logical approach and help the promoter to think over it, and also help you get a better clarity. And this will help you when you do a startup valuation or a business plan from scratch to end, where you plan the things for your client, you do the valuation, and then you move out. So this is something, a package deal which you give to the client. Okay, so we have few drivers which we have shortlisted. Yeah, you can just have a look that for software companies, we generally use number of clients they have or revenue per client. So number of clients and revenue per client will give you the total number, or else revenue per employee, how much revenue can we generate over an employee. This is pretty common in all service industries. So there is always a rate, right? So if I utilize one employee for 1 month, for 160 hours, I will charge 1,60,000 to my client, considering 1,000 rupees per hour as a revenue rate. When you value a telecom company, it is average subscribers or revenue per subscriber, and what is the tariff. Not much use for us, as there are very few telecom players. Hospitals, yes, this will be a booming industry going ahead, considering the COVID scenario, and all over the world people are funding on hospitals. People are expanding in hospital segment, and that is the key where we will see a lot of valuation assignments. So it should be based on number of beds, what is the occupancy level, what is inbound, outbound patients volume, and types of departments, and revenue per bed, how much we do make it. Then coming to pharmaceuticals, again, it is the license fee, royalty fee. Retail restaurant, it is number of outlets, new stores added, new stores reduced. In e-com, we will use e-commerce team, how much they do, and what is the average ticket size, what are the cohort analysis. That is nothing but how many customers are retained, how many customers are going out. It is very common in e-com and e-commerce and online sales. Kailas, would you like to add anything on this?
You explained it pretty well. So there's not much to add unless we have some questions for some specific industry, then we can elaborate.
How about in under hospitals, those homeopathy and Ayurvedic, if they decide to have their branches of clinics, like I think so, Dr. Batras and various other homeopathy these things, clinics are there, no?
Yes.
Then in that case, how it would be valued, the revenues?
In case of Dr. Batraj, so it would be first we'll get the price volume set up. So the number of outlets, then the number of outlets they're planning to open or close. Then what we call as comparable sales. So that is how many outlets were open for a period of 1 year at least. So that we can have a comparable number. And from that we can get the growth trend for their outlets, and we can extrapolate. And after that, as far as I know, Dr. Batras has different segments. So they have beauty treatments also,
Yes.
then skin treatments, hair treatments. So we
Hmm.
can have some sense of pricing for those different segments. And as a client, if they are providing numbers as to how many treatments were performed, so we can get the data as to how each department performed. And then we can extrapolate it how the industry is expected to grow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like that we can do. So one advantage here that comes is that if the company is planning to add some new product or a new category in, let's say, beauty treatment, so we can immediately include it for forecast periods.
Okay.
I think what is difficult will be, valuing a consulting firm, because not all, see, in a hospital, I think the rates are fixed.
Yes.
In a grocery store, rates are fixed. The product rates are fixed. We only need to estimate the customers. But in a consulting firm, I think both, there are two challenges. One, number of customers, and two, the services obtained by each customer could be different.
Right, exactly.
Just wanted to add, especially someone who's referring to clinic. One more aspect there is typically an average person's length of time in the clinic. That actually restricts the maximum potential of a single clinic. That needs to be captured, otherwise numbers can go haywire.
Yes, that comes under inbound and outbound patient volume. That's where we capture it. So inbound is where a patient is staying for more than 24 hours, and outbound is only quick visits. So that's where we capture this as two different numbers. So any other question regarding any particular industry, so we can discuss?
Actually, regarding this Kusum's point.
Hello.
Yes, good.
Yeah, what will be the revenue driver for an app-based product? Is it the number of users who download the app and use it, or how do you distinguish between the guys who are actually downloaded and who are actually using those apps? It could be hundreds of downloads, but the users could be very few.
Sir, for that, we need to prepare a cohort analysis. Okay. So that is a strategy through which we understand how many customers have purchased, means downloaded the app, and out of that, how many are active. Just a minute, let me just find one example for you. I'm just stopping a screen share for a minute.
Okay, so I'll just in the meantime discuss on this question for a dealership. So since it's I'm assuming it's just one dealership assumed, so it would be pretty straightforward that they would have a revenue sharing model with the brand from which they have taken the dealership. So we consider it from previous example as an outlet. So for a single outlet, what's the number of products they are selling? What are the average footfalls that they are getting on a daily basis? So extrapolated that on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. Then is there seasonality for some particular dealerships or for some particular businesses? During 2 quarters of the year, they would have booming business, and during 2 quarters, they would have slack. For example, ice creams. So we take that into account as well. And if dealerships is something that you are giving to like franchises, then we take into account the number of dealerships that are in the market, again comparable performance on a yearly basis, how many have been operational, how they are performing, and we also take into account the areas. So it happens that in a cluster, in a particular area, they would have better sales. So that also we take into account.
Yes. Yeah. Anything? Kailas, can I go ahead with
Yeah,
cohort?
yeah, yeah, please. I think I answered that one.
Yeah. So what we do generally is whenever we do similar take number of app downloads, right? This is a smaller version, scaled down version of it. We consider that how much apps will be downloaded and how much of them will be using it in coming years. So for example, initially 160 people downloaded it, but only out of that 137 were retained, others were gone. And then over a period of time, the number goes on reducing. That is, the customers are leaving our services. In the similar fashion, how many customers are getting added and how many of them are left. So this is something we need to find using a cohort analysis or else churn analysis.
Okay.
So this will give you a clear picture that how many people you have, how many of them will be retained over a period of time, and how much revenue you can generate from that. And in terms of app, the churn rate is very high, that only 5%, max 5% will use it. That's the industry statistics. Go with industry thumb rules to get a better clarity on that.
What does CAC and MRR mean, please?
Just a minute. CAC is customer acquisition cost. And MRR is monthly retention rate.
Thank you.
So how do you work out this CAC? Is it on the total marketing expenses by the new customers added or the number of users using that particular year?
No. It is upon marketing expenses. So whatever expenses you incur for marketing, plus to get any customer to your app or something. So it can be a marketing cost plus your marketing team salary, plus any other marketing related resources. If you are using 2 laptops, you can just add it in your entire number, and then number of customers acquired from them in that particular time duration.
If you look at a month-on-month, say customer addition in case of an app, so suppose there could be a seasonality in some month, there could be an addition, some months there could be a people leaving the app.
Yes.
But if you, when you actually see, because one of the metrics which these investors use is also the customer acquisition cost.
Correct.
How your cost per customer acquisition you are bringing down, that brings the efficiency in your operations.
Correct.
Now, when I know the past data, I can actually find out what will be the customer acquisition cost.
Right.
But when I project it, we don't either we project it on a month-on-month addition or deletion, or we take an average of the last 2 years, whatever the data we have, and extrapolate it and project the number of users added to the client base. Now,
Yeah.
but when you say customer acquisition cost, it is the incremental cost incurred for adding an incremental number of users, or it's on the overall user base?
It is incremental cost. So once you add it, he will be retained, right? So
Yeah.
this is how I have done it for one of the client. How much is my customer getting added? So there are some events where you get a lot of customers, but your budget is not slightly higher than normal. But then your customer acquisition cost will go down significantly for those months.
Okay, but
So
over a period of time, this is expected to go down because you bring in much.
Yes. Yeah, you can just see it here. It is coming down. I'll just add a graph so that you get a better clarity on it.
So in this customer acquisition cost, do we have the sales guys salary also?
Yes.
So there are people engaged in marketing, which is a separate segment, and sales are a separate segment.
So if you have a big marketing team, right, and the segment which we are targeting, so the customer acquisition cost can be for one particular segment or entire business. If entire business, consider the entire marketing cost. If particular segment is there, then only salaries of the only people who are focused, means out of 10 only 2 people are focusing, then 2 people's salary should be considered. This
Okay.
is how the customer acquisition cost will look like.
So basically, if it is the sales and marketing for the entire organization, and the cost of marketing people or the salary for the marketing people will be treated as the expense, right? Not
Right.
the entire staff salary.
Yes, only marketing related things.
Okay, this will include both offline, online campaigns.
Yes,
whatever.
yes. All the campaigns and everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I hope you will keep all these things confidential, right? These are my clients' things, which I am just showing you as a gesture. Yeah. Anything else you would like to ask?
There was one more question, so I'll just answer that one.
Yeah.
So someone asked, what is orphan drugs? So that is a concept where in the healthcare industry, so a lot of money is spent on research or on discovering new drugs or better way of treatments. So there are some diseases for which the market is huge. So let's say diabetes, a lot of people have it. So what happens is those research costs are shared over that bigger market. So you'll have the treatments priced in a cheaper way. And for some diseases, they are rare conditions. So what happens is globally, that disease will have only 50,000 patients or 70,000 patients. And in spite of that, the research costs are same. They are in billions. So each drug is priced very expensively. So in between, we all get those ads that my child is sick and the treatment cost is so and so many crores for one vial. So that is because of these orphan drugs. So that is the concept. I hope I was clear.
Yep.
So any other question?
I had this question on MRR. MRR and ARR, are they like MRR into 12 is equal to ARR, or is it a different thing at all?
Sir, can you please be a bit louder? I cannot hear the voice clearly.
Can you hear me?
It's on very low tone.
Yeah, I was saying that when we are computing MRR and ARR, correct? Is
Mhm.
ARR equal to MRR into 12? That is the formula, or are both different? I mean, in terms of calculating when you're doing it in Excel.
Sir, I will just clear your doubt of this session. It's a straightforward formula for MRR, and I am not clear what you are asking. So it's better we speak off the line, else I can just share you this my working, and that will give you a better clarity.
Sure, I'll take your number.
Yeah. So should we go ahead? Yeah, so I was just going to try to explain you one case study of DMart, which I did. To give you a better clarity, since it's a listed company, I just wanted you to understand the terminologies, and then you can value similar type of retail stores or saloons or anything which you come across, because now the trend is of opening outlets. The one is going online, the other is coming a chain of specialized things, building specialized things. So I just wanted to just explain you the terms to go ahead with. For DMart, we use stores open and stores closed. So this is nothing but the number of outlets they have opened and how much they are closing. That will give me a total number of stores. There is a concept of comparable stores and non-comparable stores. So comparable stores is the number of stores which are fully functional and well known in that area. Non-comparable store is the store which is just newly launched and it is yet to be at 100% capacity. So for DMart, they consider a comparable store as a store which is opened and 2 years are passed. So for example, if the store is opened in 1st January 2020, then it becomes comparable on 1st January 2022. So they consider that 2 years is the time for them to get the full potential of the store. This you can get after reading the annual reports of the company. And in terms of private companies use the similar types of statistics. It can be 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years to get a comparable store, a non-comparable store to a comparable store. The next would be comparable store. The most important thing is how will I get the ratio of comparable stores to the total stores. So how many of the stores are comparable? You just divide the comparable stores by total stores, non-comparable stores by non-comparable, total stores, a revenue for each store, and then you can just go back and forecast it. Is it clear or anything not understood? Then we go to the next driver. Kailas, can you just explain how does Bharti Airtel revenue driver look like?
Yes, sure. This is not an elaborated one, but we thought that we would get the basic idea of the segments to you. They have operations in different geographies. This is a good example of geographical forecast. When a company has similar operations in different geographies, instead of forecasting all the operations together, it is better to consider the growth rates of the industry or the GDP of those particular geographies. So in case of Bharti Airtel, it is India, Africa, South Asia, and they have tower assets also. Sometime back you must have heard that they are selling off their tower assets in Africa. Then again, their next segments are digital TV, then home services, internet. This we forecast separately and then we club them together. Less the intersegment revenue. So all these segments, they help each other. They provide services to each other. So this we subtract and then we get the total income of the company. In a deeper analysis, here we will also have the number of towers that they have. Then in digital services, the number of subscribers that they have, the number of new services that they plan to add, and the average ticket size per subscriber. And in mobile services, as we had mentioned in the third slide, there would be average revenue per customer, the number of subscribers, the number of additions, and the number of minutes that are spent on talking. So that's the data that the company provides in their annual reports. So if there are any questions for telecom models, then we can answer further.
If there is nothing, we can go ahead.
Okay.
Can you just get this Western Union thing? This will be a good, give us brief detail on this. How do we?
Okay. Okay, so this is in 2 slides actually. So Western Union has one business which is consumer to consumer, then another one is consumer to B2B, and they have global operations. So they are across all the continents. They are into Middle East, they are into APAC, then they have credit card transactions, then global payments transactions. So these are similar businesses but across different geographies. And it is an established business. So after a certain when we discuss startups, So in that case, the growth rates are pretty huge, right? Startup would grow at 80%, 100% for the first 5, 6 years. But in case of established companies that have been around for quite some time, their growth rates are moderated. They come back to industry averages. And normally they go hand in hand with the GDP. So if the GDP of the particular geography, it contracts or expands, it has a similar effect on the particular company as well. So here we have included uh, of the total revenue, how much each geography is contributing. Then the GDP growth rate of that particular geography. Then how much impact we are expecting of that GDP changes on that company's revenue in that particular geography. And all of that we club together. So can you just take the next slide of Western Union? Okay, this one. So after this, in consumer to consumer, so they would have transaction fees. Then they also enable cross-border payments. So that comes in foreign exchange fees. And again, the next segment, business solutions. And all of this we club together, and then we come to the total revenues of the company. So this would be pretty straightforward since it's a financial setup. Next one, please. So this is just a basic model. I think Mayur has covered it in the Excel example as well, of how we utilize market share and capacity levels, and how also we take into account macro elements. So at the top, if you see, so there's what we are using, it's the GDP growth rate, then what is the inflation rate, then what is the market size of the product, and from that what is the market share that the company expects to capture, and what is the capacity utilization level that the company expects, and if there would be any additions. So as we had explained earlier, so let's say there are different products. So what would be the expected volumes for those products multiplied by the expected prices we have and the expected changes or increases in those prices. And then yes, Jivika, sure. And then the revenue for each product that we get and total revenue. So one advantage of this setup is that at all times you can be clear that is your production capacity justifying your total revenue, because it promoters most of the times what they will do is they'll focus their revenues to grow at a very fast clip, but they won't be able to justify bringing in that many products in the market of those quantities. So this is where capacity utilization is most important. And the advantage of including macro elements is that you can ask the promoter for justification that why are you expecting your sales to grow faster than the GDP. So that is fun news. So I hope this model really helped. Any questions if you have?
Go to the next one.
Okay.
Kailash, can you explain this?
Yes, just a second. So this is a model for Target Corp. So if any one of you are aware, it's a multinational company in the US, and it's into retailing. So, and it's into different segments. So it has household essentials, then it also has apparels and accessories, food, as well as pet supplies. Pet supplies is a booming market right now. and also home furnishings and decor. And at the same time, someone had asked that what about dealerships? How do we forecast? So at the same time, along with all these different segments, we also include the number of stores that the company has. So that is beginning stores, the new stores open, closed stores, and the number of stores that are at the end, the final tally. And at the end, we also include comparable stores and revenue per comparable store. This company, it has a global sales, and they fluctuate in different geographies. So for particular geographies, sometimes it's very difficult to include them. So for this one, we have used segmental forecast and not included particular geographies for them.
So does anyone has any specific doubt we can solve? Because we have covered most of the common models which we are used in the industry. We will be happy to address that.
Mayur, I have one question. Nowadays, there are new models of the businesses which are coming up in which they own a farmland, and the part of a farmland is given to the customer, and he's asked that whatever kind of crop he wants to grow, he can grow on that. That will be grown by these people who owns the farmland.
Okay.
Plus, they will be having the share in that crop, the crop which is decided among the customer and the farmland owners. That much of crop will be given to the customer. Some portion of it will be kept by the farmland owners. Plus, they will be using the same land for trips or something like that, organic picnics, something are organized for school children to know about farming.
Yeah.
So how do you get the comparables first? Second, how do you know what would be their exact revenues and how it would be getting? So it will be number of clients basis or the crops that are being grown, how it would be?
So here we need to use sum of total parts. So this will, the valuation will be done in 2 to 3 different verticals. One is tourism, like picnic. So you just need to see for farm tourism, because there is a lot of agro-based tourism throughout the India. Okay. So you can compare those companies and you will find a local player everywhere. So for Pune, it is like there are like 5 to 6 agro-tourism spots where people go spend their entire day as a picnic, go to farms, pluck fruits or something, and they complete their day. So you can just take the transactions. You won't get listed multiples, but you will surely get some information related to the transaction multiples. Okay, at what price the similar farm was bought or sold, or similar business was sold. A bit extensive research in this type of assignments, but yes, it is possible. So one part is that. A second part is renting your land to get the crops. So this is a crude thing which is happening from years. So if you have a land, so for example, in my own thing, I have a land of 10 acres, let's say. I will hire someone local person to manage it, and I will give a 25% of that as a commission. And so you get to know what is the fees given to that commission guy, or else if you are charging something, what is the fees you are paying for renting this land. Okay. And you will get average statistics that in that particular area, if you invest 1,000 rupees, your outcome will be 2,000. And that remains more or less constant even in all scenarios, worst case, best case, if the rains are heavy, if the rains are not there. That is the thing which I have observed. So you can just use these two matrices and get your final valuation.
And what could be the risks in such kind of model?
The basic risk is like for tourism, like COVID, because of COVID, you cannot go to the agro-tourism the way you used to go earlier, right? So their capacity has come down. So instead of 1,000 now, they can just accommodate 500 people. So that is one risk, means environmental risk, and other is like the risk. So you just need to understand the risk factors. So if you are leasing that, then it is a forward contract type of things that whatever happens, we will split the losses or profits 50-50, and we will also insure our land so that even if in the worst case we get what is lost, so you at least get something with from the insurance.
Okay.
So may I add a few more risks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. So since these are different segments, major risk comes is that of crop failure. Then second one is that such kind of companies nowadays mostly they market their products as organic products, right? So these products need certifications from the government, and as far as I know, they also have to maintain soil samples for 3 years. So getting those government certifications on a continuous basis, that comes as one risk.
Okay.
And for tourism, as Mayur said, capacity levels, and when this kind of restrictions hit, at that time for tourism setup, the fixed costs they remain. They have to maintain all the apparatus that they have set up. So maintaining those fixed costs, that is a second risk for such kind of setup.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have another question. See, when you have showed us various models and various industry where you have forecasted the revenue and the expense. I also want to understand, when you are forecasting, do you actually also draw up a balance sheet and a cash flow statement, or is it only limited to only income and expenditure?
No, okay.
Yeah, go on.
And another related question is, do you also take into consideration taxes and any other liability other than taxes? Like there could be litigation contingent for an existing business. I know all these may not be really applicable for a startup, but for an ongoing business, because the annual report will actually talk about all of these things, right?
Yes, we do consider it. So 5% of the budget. Even in my startups, I keep 5% of my budget for this litigations. So it can depend from startup to startup how risky it is and how much they are closer to their peers. But yes, we need to consider these things. And when you say forecasting, we forecast income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow because that helps us to validate our model thoroughly.
Thank you.
Okay, so shall we go to the next one, Mayur?
Yeah, so we are done with our today's session. So if anyone has any doubts, yes, just feel free to contact us. We are happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have one similar agriculture related company. Their business is they have got agriculture funding business. Okay, they want to fund the agriculture. Say, for example, by supplying the techniques, they have identified a lot of techniques, okay, which will help a small farmer. Say, for example, they identify a cluster of plots in a particular area, and then they understand that everything is a very small plot, but put together for our company, it's a big cluster. Okay. And we provide them with all the modern farming techniques, okay, which a single farmer wouldn't have offered.
Yeah.
So we almost, guide them, handhold the small farmers, and almost take the produce also, because we have got a better connects for selling when compared to them, because single, they were not able to get a good. So because the end revenue will be routed through us, so the whole process will be like funding will not be charged, but in the produce some percentage will be charged.
Yeah.
And the rentals also, like initially it's free, but then once the produce is sold, the rentals of these techniques will be recovered from there. And the company for which I'm valuing is something like a funding company. We are only giving the loans for which interest is not charged.
Got it.
So the whatever through which company we are funding, no, that company will get revenue. Out of that, the main company will get a small portion. And what has happened, in order to concentrate, they have opened some 10 or 15 companies geographically spread. So can you just throw some light on this?
So I think I need to think for it. To be frank, I did something related to vertical farming, but it is a altogether a different concept. Where, but the same thing, they were funding the farmers only.
Yeah, so I have to go back to grassroots levels wherein I understand. Say, take a company in the big one company at a shot. So understand how many farmlands they are able to reach, and what could be the cost of providing the technique to them, and then what will be the funding required for that, and then like it was such a
Yeah.
time
No,
taking
no, no.
model.
Here, the basic problem is getting a land in a stretch, because when you are giving a high technique things, right, you cannot implement in 1 acre or 2 acre plot. It has to be a big 100 acres plus thing to get it sustainable, to be frank. So the way they do it in US.
It is very improbable, no, practically.
Yes. So getting the team of 10, 15 farmers together, or maybe 100 farmers, if they give their own land, which is very unlikely to happen, because there are always some of the other rivalries among the teams in villages. So getting this business model successful is pretty difficult, according to me, because they are doing funding is one good thing, but again, generating revenues returns is a challenge.
So may I add something on this?
Yeah.
Okay, so Shilpa, is this company are they functional right now?
Yeah, they are functional.
Okay.
Basically they have changed the model.
Okay.
Already they are doing this, but through banks.
Okay.
So
So
the
this
main
is
company is going for funding so that they can fund this, instead of going that was an obstacle which they faced, they couldn't get the bank funding properly, it was taking time. So, all their operations were, there was a lag. So they thought of creating their own company for which they will seek investment, for which the valuation was required.
Okay. And right now, what are their numbers? How many farmers or how many acres they have covered? Any idea?
It's a very small numbers now.
Okay, so
Because
one case study for this one is Kaushalya Foundation, that's in Bihar. So this model they have pretty similar to this model they have used, where they are covering a large number of farmers and their farmlands, and they are providing them with techniques, and especially they are focused on organic farming, and also they're sourcing from the farmers and providing it to markets. So from Bihar they supply even to Western India, and as well as some parts of South India. So vegetables as well as fruits they supply. So that is one case study that you can look at. So along with farming techniques, they're also providing techniques for how to keep produce fresh for longer, then storage techniques, etc.
Actually, Kailas, my main question was whether each company cash flows, revenue model, what you are doing, no? Mine is basically a loan company. And for me, income is deriving from, so should I draw the revenue model of each of these 10 or 15 companies, which are geographically spread? Or, what is that, method which I have to use? That I got stuck.
Okay. No. Do it segment wise. So one segment would be since they are providing loans, so they must be charging something interest.
This company will go for nil interest, and that revenue sharing model will be there.
Oh, okay. So it's
The
revenue
company
sharing.
providing technology will get say 30-40%, and the company which has provided the loan, the cash, that is some 5% could be.
Okay, so one would be that. Then from revenue sharing, under revenue sharing they would have different segments. There would be different kind of services that they would provide to the farmers.
Correct.
So a forecast for those different kind of services So that would be the price, and the volume would be the number of farmers or the number of acreage that they are adding.
Okay, so it will not be company wise, need not be necessary company wise.
Not necessary. Segment wise would be better, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just another thought that I'm getting when when statement was made that this company is granting loans. In that case, is there an NBFC license that is required or a registration, or will there be any responsibility to kind of communicate that there are other regulations that could be applicable on the valuer?
This one I think Mayur can take.
Mayur has some connectivity issues, so he'll be reconnecting in 2-3 minutes.
Okay. Right now, for companies that are providing funding or loans, even on a small scale, regulations are still coming out. So that picture is still hazy. For NBFCs, it's somewhat clear, but right now, even with onset of apps that are providing loans on a quick basis, those regulations are still yet to concretize, as far as I know.
Because if my very limited understanding of this NBFC segment is that if you are an NBFC, then you have a minimum capitalization requirement,
Right.
and companies like this, we don't know whether they will actually meet the criteria. Those more so when they're actually startups.
Correct. So those regulations, they're still coming, so we can wait for them.
And Mr. Kailas, one more thought what we have. Say for example, let's take Grofers or Zepto or whatever, e-commerce. So okay, these may be successful, but then who come to us may or may not have that USP, but then they aspire to be. So their projections could be aggressive, like these successful startups.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Mayur, you're back. So considering the probability of a startup being successful or not, so how can we justify? Say, for example, when Grofers came in, already they were good players. When Zepto came in, already we had players.
Right.
And there are many more players. So my only query is, on what basis can I accept the aggressiveness of the projections?
Right. Yes. That is why instead of taking just revenue numbers from them, it's better we do our own forecasting and cross check it with them. So definitely, it depends on the stage the startup is in. So if they are in pre-product stage or they are yet to enter the market, so we definitely need to ask them that what justifies their projections.
And just that, the successful model of few others in the same line.
Yes. So that just because someone else is successful doesn't mean that they can also capture the market share that much faster.
No, the main problem is the valuation is linked to the percentage offered to the investor, like according to the promoter. So, for example, a very good, successful model in future, which has actually become really, really successful, and investor is accepting now. Okay, but we are not convinced as a valuer. Okay, the whole point boils down that how much investor is getting a stake in this company depends hugely on the valuation. Once you give a value less, then there is no chance that the company will get at a higher price what he would have negotiated. So this price is interlinked with valuation, more so with the sentiments.
Yes.
Okay, even though theoretically value and price is different, but practically if I give a value of say 1 crore, he can never get an investment valued at 10 crore. It's not possible.
Yes.
So considering this, can you throw a little bit more light as to your view on this?
Okay. So when considering startups that come to us, it's definitely better to ask them that how they are going to get those numbers. Are they going to expand to different, let's say particularly for India, are they going to expand to different states, or are they going to increase their outlets, or how are they going to get new subscribers, let's say for an online model, or how are they going to get paid subscribers to justify those numbers?
But Kailas,
and only then
I
we
will
should do it.
correlate your question to my personal attitude. Say, for example, I'm a promoter. Okay.
Yes.
I
Okay.
have done my IIT, IIM. I'm too good at the presentation, too good at the numbers, too good at telling the story, or I'm an
Right,
MBA.
right. It's right.
Okay. So
Right.
you can relate to it and you will be believing it. But then
Yeah.
if my nature is pessimistic nature, thinking all negative odds,
Okay.
I may not be able to tell the story. I may be good at, executing the job. But then I'm
Yes.
talking about telling the story or how to convince you as a valuer. I have seen, many technically qualified, or this marketing related or, MBA related background promoters are able to get a good valuation when compared to, because they may not be able to talk, like say, for example, a person who is, say, village background or, you can say the rural background. They may not be
Yes.
able to tell the story the way, or for that matter, take a chartered accountant becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Because if
Exactly.
pessimistic
Exactly.
thought is there in my mind,
Yes.
that will creep into the valuer's mind.
Yes. 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 I hear
So
you.
how do you think we can take it up?
That bias remains as in the caveats that we mentioned at the beginning of this PPT. That bias remains, and if the promoter of the startup is coming from a top college, or let's say he's from McKinsey, so he'll get better visibility.
Yeah, and they are able to draw the
Exactly.
investors also very nicely, especially
Yes.
IIT,
Yes.
IIM background, no?
Yes. And if someone is from a third-tier college, from let's say Bihar, so he won't be entertained.
Yeah, that
Yes. Yes. That bias always
priciness
remains.
will not be there in their product.
Exactly. Exactly.
Friends, this is a wonderful chance to share any of your practical problems which you are having on hand. So please utilize this and let's take the advantage of Kailash and Mayur's immense knowledge.
Okay. So any other question, anything we can help with? Mayur, are you with me?
Actually, Mayur rejoined.
Okay.
But
Yeah, he had
let's see.
rejoined, I guess.
Yeah. One of
Yeah, I am there. There is some issue with my system, so I cannot be on
Okay. Okay.
this
Okay.
video call.
Okay. 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 Sure.
actually there
So.
was one query raised in our BBA group. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know whether Subbarao is here. It was his query on behalf of him, and the discussion is on in the BBA members group.
Okay.
He has put in the group that he has got a DCF value. The company has got a potential, say for example, DCF, according to DCF method, value per share is coming 3,000.
Okay.
But under net asset value method, he's saying that there are huge debts and he's not able to get the value.
Okay.
So maybe if he was there, he would have better put the question. So compared to NAV and DCF,
Okay.
can I say that, the value is zero, considering that even though future potential is there, but still there are a lot of debts.
Okay. So this was for which industry? Any idea?
No idea. That was not mentioned in the group.
Okay. 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 So
No, I
it's
think the
always
limited question was for him. It's a loss-making company having a negative net worth. Now, is that okay? I mean, maybe the projections will actually lead you to a higher valuation and a positive number. But at this point in time, nobody is interested in investing at such a high value. In such cases, would it be, since can we do an NAV valuation and then issue, because shares cannot be issued at a negative value? Can we consider face value to be the fair value and issue the shares? I think that would have been his question.
Might be, yeah. Rather zero, he was saying. He was
okay. 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 So in such cases, DCF value would have lesser meaning, and since the company is loss making, so comparable analysis would be much better for valuation, because DCF at the end of the day remains susceptible to even minor tweaks and major changes in prices.
Just one thing I would like to tell. So here the promoter, actually we should look for a projections of better projections. I would say that because we are facing.
Mayur, 1 second. Subbarao, can you hear us? I think he has joined just now. Are you there, Subbarao?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you
Just
explain your, whatever you're posting in the BVM members group? Can you explain once again? Mayur and Kailas will give their opinion on your point.
I just now joined Shilpa. This is I'm not listening to the context. What is that?
Your case, which is being discussed in BVM members WhatsApp group.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, your query.
See, I have a company now. I'm doing a valuation on that company where the DCF is coming 3,000 rupees is the negative value. At the same time, around 3,100 it is coming the negative value, fair value, net assets also. Even we have valued planted machinery, land and building, all other financial assets. It is coming.
Gross asset or net asset? Net asset meaning asset minus liability.
Asset minus liabilities, yes. Asset minus liabilities, it is coming negative. In that situations, like what we can do, like we have to give zero value only. That is my opinion. And any other suggestions how we can handle this situation? Because here the problem is we have two parties in this company. Okay, there is a dispute is going on. If we give negative value, okay, that other party may say that, okay, purposefully they got this valuation report or this value because of this dispute and they want to send that other promoter out without giving any money. Or okay, showing this company as a negative value and give some value, whatever he is invested. Because they may go to NCLT also. In this case, actually, there is a dispute already going on. They may go to NCLT based on this valuation report also. That's what we have fear, like what are the different steps we have to take it, okay, to safeguard our side also.
Good morning.
But Subbarao, is there any way we can get a positive DCF?
No positive DCF, because I will tell you what the company also is doing. The company is doing the transport company. Last 2 years, it is severely affected. Okay, they provide transport services to all software companies, education institutions. You know that because of this COVID, the incomes are not at all okay. Even the huge liabilities, okay, the payments, whatever they bought, vehicles, other things, okay, it is huge amounts. And even they don't know next 2 to 3 years or 5 years also how the business is going to be run because of this COVID. And okay, even okay, we are showing revenues for next 5 years also, but because of this expenditure, that debt, whatever it is, okay, it's making the share value is negative, and also the number of shares is held by the company is only 10,000. Okay, even if I get some negative value of 1 crore, 2 crores also, it will come 3,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees negative.
All right. So is there any way to get a liquidation? I would say go for a liquidation value, because this business is going to anyway go down, right? So it's better to sell off and move ahead.
Yeah, that is one. If sell off that fair value of assets, if you sell off, then we will get the fair value of vehicles, land, building, or around 20 crores, whereas the debt is itself almost 35 crores is there. The payables, the bank loan and the trade payables, the income tax dues around 35 crores, where I have assets of 20 crores only.
I would say just go with like sell this. They need to file for bankruptcy. That's what I can think about.
Yeah, definitely. But we can't, as a valuer, we can't give the suggestion.
His point is how much to give value, 0 or what?
No, it will be a 0 because you cannot give negative.
Yes.
And just show them that this is DCF, this is a bankruptcy value, so we cannot go with positive. And in such type of things, what happens generally is the buyer will have there are 2 disputes, right? So the 2 parties will both will get their valuers to value the company, and then they will appoint a 3rd valuer who will be a mediator between these 2 valuations and close the deal.
Okay. See,
my point is, where do you see the value? Like DCF, there is no, NAV also there is no. So is there any, one of the point in the group was to consider control premium. So do you see any value in that company? Can we consider control premium, or is there a future for this industry?
Shilpa, even though we consider control premium, it will reduce the negative losses, but it will not bring it to the profits. Hello.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to just waste our time in finding the value for control premium, because then there will be a question that on what basis and how much you are taking a control premium.
Correct.
So that can reduce the losses, but it will still come to zero only.
And Shilpa, where we can give justification also, okay, because there are a lot of companies here, okay, even we have some penny stocks, okay, even 20 paisa, 10 paisa also is going on listed company. How this value is because of there are huge liabilities and no value in the company. And even if you sell something, okay, even they don't have, even as an insolvency professional, I have sold one company where the value of software they have given as 7 crores. We could not sell for 5,000 rupees also that software.
Right.
Correct.
Fair
Even if
value
you
is
sell
7
the
crores,
assets,
liquidation value is 0. Even the value at that time they have given liquidation value is 0, fair value is 7 crores. But we could not sell for 5,000 rupees also.
Right.
Yeah.
So, bro, I think the revenue projections, what they have given, may not be accurate because if they are considering the COVID scenario and trying to give the revenue projections, if they have the capacity and they have done well in the past, so sales pipeline has to be considered based on that, and based on the if they have vehicles or something, those vehicles actually can produce the revenues. So it seems like some doubtful thing where revenue projections are not given properly. So maybe that can be verified.
Yes, even Nataraj, we have adjusted this amount, even whatever they have given, we have taken 2018, 2017, even we have taken 10% increment every year compared to that. Because of this huge debt interest liabilities, it is coming negative.
Okay, possible.
Yeah. And also, okay, the fair value also, how is getting vehicles, okay, even they bought big buses like 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, even if I can sell it now, it will come only 7 to 8 lakhs only. It is all mortgaged to bank.
Yes, it seems like debt is very huge. So whatever you do, it's difficult to set off.
Yeah.
And also so just one thing, Subara, I would say, why don't we just see how is Jyoti Structures and Videocon valued? So these are both the companies who are loss-making companies, and their interest burden is way higher than their entire year's profit. So maybe we can get some hint about that studying these two case studies. But I'm not sure how much it will help, but you can just have a look.
Sure.
Mayur. Hello.
Yes.
See, I have one.
Can I give my point of view here?
Mayur, I have one doubt.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's in a startup job shop company. Their book value is 22 rupees. They give a projections based on the projection, DCF is coming around 470 rupees. Now they want to sell to the another shareholder. He says book value is 22 rupees. How it will become a 470 rupees? And we are not able to come to the mediation. In such a case, can I give the weight for a book value 50 points and also for a DCF? Is it a fair? Because there is huge gap is there. Both there is a buyer wants book value, seller wants DCF. So
No, we should stick to DCF. Book value is just an asset value, to be frank here. And startups are valued based on story. Is it first round of funding or which round of funding is this?
This is the first round.
First round. So money for the first round is not for your business, but your capability to build the team and execute the stuff. So it should be valued in that aspect. So he is not a correct investor for them.
DCF, we need to stick on to the DCF.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
In your case, my point of view is that you should value the company without the liability. Mention the fair value of the assets which are really fixable, and after the liability, they will come to a negative, which is basically the owner's value. But as far as the value of the business is concerned, that will be compared with the DCF without the liability. And in that case, you can just give the explanation that the liability, the lender will get the value, they will get the dividend of their amount is given on the loan, and the buyer of the business get the fair value based on the business potential. That this is my view.
Sir, that principle will be applicable in the case of a company under CARP or liquidation. But where, okay, when your company is ongoing concern, how can you leave the liabilities for calculating the fair value? If you leave the liabilities tomorrow, one of the bank will file IBC case, and okay, the company will be value 0. And what value you are misleading that?
As far as the company's value is concerned, that is always 0. That cannot be more than 0, because after the liability there is nothing remains for owners. So it is always the lender have to suffer. But the only thing is, since it's intact business, as Mayur had mentioned, that we need to see the business model of the this Videocon or any other company which is Bhushan also. In case of Bhushan, the assets value, the asset value was that was given around the 18-19 crores, but the business was taken over by Tata's at 34,000 crore, and the liability was much more than that. So that I agree, that's the process. Better process is CIRP. But as far as we valuers are concerned, we can explain those aspects, that since it is not at the moment CRP, the assets valuation are these, and the business without the assets on DCF basis is coming this much, wherein the cost of the interest burden and all those things needs to be considered, and the value for the business the owners are 0. But as far as the business is concerned, the value is this much. That because that since the business cannot bear the entire load of the loan, it is going to be a negative only. It cannot be a positive one. This is my view.
Okay.
Mayur?
Yes.
This is Deepak. I'm from Chennai, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very basic question, carrying on from where Shilpa was speaking. That's regarding, see, when we are asking questions to the valuer, vetting the data that's been presented by the entrepreneur, the startup,
yeah.
See, as CAs, we are steeped in conservatism and skepticism. Okay, so we might ask the right questions, but at some point in time, you'll have to step into the shoes of the entrepreneur. You just can't be, what do you call it, pessimistic throughout, right? So I wanted to know your experience on, how do you, change the thinking, as in that you have to at some point, ascend to that particular, different kind of thinking. Rather than, on one hand, you have to sanitize the data, but you might not be impressed with the idea, but that doesn't matter, because ultimately it's the, the investor who has to be impressed, right? So
right.
Have you had such issues, or like, how do you kind of tackle it?
Sir, we generally try to be, so I will give my own experience. We stick to our own basics, that I drill down the entrepreneur that these are the most common questions investor is going to ask you, and you need to be prepared, and they need to be answered by your model. And before valuing any company, I ask the story to the the entrepreneur. If he can give the story, then you should take it, or take the assignment and go ahead. If he is not, you just think from the business perspective. But I would say, if you really want to get a bigger business, means a good credibility, you need to suffer some losses initially. You need to let these types of client go, and once you get a good successful funding, right, backed by you, the business will flow to you.
Right.
So it's just a patience game. You need to take and else you need to charge higher to the client and sit with him and prepare a story,
right,
and then go for valuation, instead of just number crunching, because
Correct.
without a story, valuation has no meaning.
Correct. Right. Absolutely. Right.
Because
And just, yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, if you see any big company or small company, it has a story. Amazon was in loss for more than 20-25 years, but it consistently gave one single story that we are investing in our infrastructure.
Right.
So that's what we need to understand. Second thing, you need to tell the investor that if they want to get the funding, make sure that they raise money for at least 18 months, and then after 6 months they have to go for second round of funding itself, so that by
Right.
the before their funding gets exhausted, they get the
Right.
next round of funding. If
Right.
these two things you try to convince to your client, he is
Right.
bound to be work with you whatsoever.
Right. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, here, Mayur, I would like to share one more practical experience in the case of forecasting. Even we are working one company where it is a demerger. Demerger is happening, and the same time merger also it is there. Like there are three companies. If you say A company has a demerger company, there are 5 units running, and B company is a transfer company, and C is the resulting company. Like they are transferring all the one of the unit, like okay, the energy unit they are transferring to C company. Even okay, a lot of discussions are happening in the forecasting how this business unit will come to this resulting company, new company, and how the assets will be transferred. Even they don't have okay, lot of what you call assumptions are there, okay, when they're transferring assets, when they're moving the revenues, all these things. Here also, okay, we have to take care of all those things, especially when there are companies doing demerger and mergers in the same
Yeah.
NCLT applications.
So I understood that there will be so what is the exactly I need to answer? Means I understood that there is a demerger, there is a merger, and there
Yes.
will be a lot of assumptions. Yeah, that's
Correct.
true. But what we need to, so are you calculating the synergic effects?
Synergic impact means whatever we are calculating only DCF method for two companies, which is a demerger company and resulting company. And for transfer company, we are doing net asset value method because the company is no more.
Okay.
Like that only we are doing one net asset value method and two DCF methods we are doing and calculating the swap ratio.
Okay, because I would go with just synergies is nothing but we use DCF only, but we generally give some premium and discounts or else profits which are happening because of merger or demerger.
Okay, okay. You mean control premium like that?
Yes.
Okay. Then we will consider that also, because as a new company, okay, they are getting business revenues immediately and they can start the business. We can give some control premium.
Yes.
Yeah. And also here, since we are talking about merger, okay, as a valuer, we need to give this swap ratio also when you are submitting the valuation report to the company. Why I'm specifically mentioning, okay, where there are two valuers, one is from Hyderabad and one is from Mumbai, where the valuers has given only the fair value of the shares in the report. They have not given the swap ratio. And the management has given the swap ratio and it has been questioned by the official liquidator. How this swap ratio has not been given in the report, how the management has been given. And the valuer was saying that, okay, where it is saying in the Companies Act or somewhere, the swap ratio has to be given by the valuer itself. But the authorities will expect from the valuers to provide the swap ratio also in the report, not only the fair value of the company. Because even the statutory authorities can't tell everything, okay, about the swap ratio has to be given by the valuer.
Generally, as a valuer, we need to give it. As a valuer, we need to give this ratio, to be frank.
But there is a question also, Mayur, okay, where it has been informed or where it has been specified that, okay, swap ratio has to be given by the valuer.
I request all the participants to give their views also in this regard, since it is more of Companies Act point of view, I request the participants' views also.
Yes, sir. I would like to get details on this. Even I am not much aware from this perspective, to be frank. But as per my understanding, valuer needs to give a swap ratio because he is doing a merger valuation, right?
Yes. Yes. Maybe that board resolution, maybe it has not been specified in the company side. The board resolution should specify that, okay, the valuer has to give the purpose of valuation is fair value and as well as the swap ratio. Like that, board resolution also can be mentioned.
Yeah, but can you, to be frank, I am not that legally aware about these laws.
Yeah.
I have, but not worked on merger deals. I just worked on international M&A, and that was from valuation perspective where we calculated everything.
Yes. Yes.
Friends, if you all don't have any queries, can we conclude today's session? Does any member have any query left? Can I request Mr. Chandrasekhar to convey a vote of thanks to our speaker for today? Company Secretary Chandrasekhar. Are you there, Mr. Chandrasekhar, now? Subra, would you like to?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, all. Once again, it is sincerely thanks to Mr. Mayur. Okay, this is the very important discussion in this time, in this pandemic time, where even whatever forecast we are going to do, what you call like because of this corona effect, all will change. And even a lot of times, even we have seen from income tax authorities also the question how many companies reached the forecast, what are the revenues we have given. Even once we met one income tax authorities, whatever the DCF calculation income projections, 98% companies will not meet. That is the question and answer comes from income tax authorities. That is very, very important. As a valuer, we have to see in all perspectives the forecasting, whether the correct forecast has been given by the management, and even if it's given by the management, whether it is achievable or not. That has to be taken care. It is all questionable on. Even maybe right now, if you give the valuation report, you don't get. But if you see after 1 year, then we will only see that, okay, what are the flaws in that forecasting or expenses projecting, all those things we can see. It is very, very important. Thank you, Mayur, okay, bringing to nice topic in this time. And we are requesting, okay, from the members of BVA, okay, any other topics which you would like to have, okay, more the knowledge more on, then we invite for that. Thank you, Mayur, once again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shilpa.
Like Mayur is one of our BVA member and active committee member, I request everyone to volunteer to come, on the session and then share your experiences, select your own topic, maybe a recent valuation report which you would have had your lessons. So please try to share with us. I would be expecting, at least one or two of you will call and tell me that you will be eager to take up the next session. Thank you all. Happy weekend. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayur. Thank you very much. It was very insightful.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks, Shilpa.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation.